Someone
Looks
else.
like heaven's coming in from there.
The co- the co- the content of this meeting is being sent. We got it. And I went ahead and put the link in. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Woo! Yes, baby. This is
All
my
right.
first. This is my first live ever.
Really?
I'm usually pre-recorded, so this is a big deal. And
All right.
what better to trust than, with my buddy and with you guys. So yes, baby.
Now I have to mute this. Okay. Are we still talking?
We're still talking.
Okay, good. Okay. Yes. So we've birthed this child together.
Yay. Hey, I love the frames with your shirt, by the way.
Thanks. I kind of got a salmon thing. We're kind of in
Looking so stylish, my buddy.
I have my moments, not often. All right, so let me give us a little intro. AB will be joining us. JT was unable to, but we're so excited to talk with you. All right, welcome everyone to VO Booth Besties. We're here to help working voice actors get your most important questions answered by industry pros who know. As many of you know, we were working on a weekly cadence for our interviews, but life, kids, summer, you get it. We have now moved to what we have coined as Popcasts. These are pop-up podcasts that are just basically convenient for whoever our interviewee is, as well as ourselves. And then we'll just host them live, like we're doing right now with our great guest. As usual, AB's joined us, fabulous. As usual, if you have any questions as the interview goes on, drop them in the comments and we will do our best to answer them at the end. I am so excited to have the fabulous voice actor, coach, demo producer, Michelle Sundholm joining us today. Let me tell you a little bit about her, and then I'll let her kind of add to it. So Michelle is actually an Oregon-based actor. She has been hustling in this industry for well over a decade, and she does it all. She has this smooth, warm, fabulous voice that's been used for commercials, promo, e-learning, all the things. Most notably, she was the character voices for MasterCard as both Securitron, their robot mascot, and other employees. She is also, which I already mentioned, she's also a coach and is the owner of Dream Team Demos. Welcome, Michelle.
Glad to be here. That is a lot. And
Yes.
I'm just like, and because I respect you so much and you're my friend, it's like, oh, it's like, I'm just feeling love,
We feel honored to have you. I mean, you have so much knowledge, so much wisdom. You're going to have a lot to share, and I'm excited for our audience to get to know you a little bit better and learn from you as well. So maybe there's some people in our audience that don't know Michelle Sundholm or don't know you very well. So can you give us a quick, how did you get here?
Well, for my mom, I think. No, but I'm bumped. No.
And she's funny too. Okay.
I don't want to take too long because that's just like a whole lot of stuff. So what I will say is I got here from listening to my gut, listening to my heart, being passionate about life, trying to live life the fullest, but knowing that life is a roller coaster. And so sometimes you're going to, I was in the corporate world, I was in sales, I was all kinds of things, but I've always had a love for words and bringing them to life. We used to do like talent shows, and I would, at my house, and I'd go in my British accent and do Shakespeare. I was in plays. I've sung my whole life professionally for different recordings and on stage. So it's like everything, all of that combined, I feel like set me on the path to do exactly what I'm doing these last over 10 years, that I feel so blessed and lucky to get to do this every day. Now, it doesn't mean it's a cakewalk. It doesn't mean it's easy. It is not easy at all. And I will tell my students that. But it's what I know that I should be doing. And I love people. I get to meet amazing creatives, wonderful colleagues that become dear friends, so that in a nutshell, you can ask specific stuff too, but
Yeah.
like
Well, let's just keep going. This is not scripted. We're keeping it loose, everyone. So again,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
we may zig and zag just a few times. It has a tendency to
Let's talk
happen.
about hammocks. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, exactly. Let's talk about hammocks. Exactly. So, okay, well, let's talk about corporate and sales. So you in your bio, you mentioned you do e-learning. To me, that's like one on one. Like that is parallel. Like if you've already
Yeah,
been working in corporate, that kind of goes hand in hand. So
yeah.
did working in that world help? And then also talking about sales, did that also support your efforts in growing a voiceover career?
Yes, absolutely. I think of each thing that you do in life as it's like you're making like this specialty recipe, and like me being in sales is one of the ingredients, like a
Mm-hmm.
specialty ingredient. Me being in the corporate world is another ingredient, and it's like all of a sudden you didn't know that you were making like this entree, and it's like, "Oh, I see why this is here. I see why this ingredient's here," and it just comes together.
I like that.
Um, I've never actually put it together that way before, but that's kind of what it is. So like with sales, um, I'm someone that I'm not good at lying. I just can't. Like when I cross the border and they ask me if I have fruit, I smile and they think I'm suspicious, but I'm just like, no, like I I just get nervous. Like, so I'm like, if I sell something, I have to believe in it.
Give them
You
the
know,
fruit, Michelle. Quit trying
I
to smuggle fruit, woman.
they searched our whole car because I smiled and they thought that I was like
Oh,
suspect.
stop.
Seriously,
Oh, stop.
I'm not even joking. And Steve's like, that's it. My husband, he's like, that's it. Every time we cross the border, I'm driving. I'm like, yeah,
Put
because
a bag over your head
I
so you can't make any face.
dude, I just want to be friendly and be like, yeah, okay, but I guess it looks suspicious. Um,
Anyway, so yep. So
but
corporate
sale,
and sales.
but sales, yeah, like I can sell anything as long as I believe in it.
Okay.
That's why, and I'll go more into coaching thing too, but that's why I want to open up my schedule, even though I'm a full-time working voice actor, do demo dream team, um, and other things like in balancing life. I'm like, I've been praying about it. I've been thinking about it. And I'm like, when is the right time to open up my schedule a little more? I won't be doing coaching full time by any means, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to be selective on who I coach, and I want them to be selective on picking me because I want it to be a
Right.
match. So with that said, um, yeah, like the corporate world, I was executive assistant to vice presidents, of different companies. So I handled stats, numbers. I had to teach myself Excel, like if there was a problem, figure it out, you know? Um, so it gives you very much like a can do, checking all the boxes off, which really helps because you have to wear so many hats being a voice actor in this world.
All day long.
And yes, I have wonderful agents. I have different platforms that I'm on and stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, I mean, you got to do the work. You have to
Yep.
put it in. And so yes, sales and corporate
Well,
very
and
much.
even just I find too, just life experiences, your hobbies, um, places you shop, clothes you wear, like different things can really play into your day-to-day business.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
sports. I love sports. I grew up playing softball. I go to Orange Theory. Shout out to Orange Theory, like 4 or 5 times a week. Like, um, I don't some of you guys know that I had open heart surgery 4 years ago. I never thought that I would be in the kind of shape that I am now
Mm-hmm.
from then. But it's something like it's just like in the voiceover world or anything that you put your mind and attention to, you chip away at it and you go for it. And I think that's why I love to see people succeed, and I truly love to cheer people on. I I tell my students, I'm like, if you can please tell me if you beat me out on an audition.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to hear it because I think, you know, um the world's a crazy place, and it's like we all need to lift each other up and cheer each other on, and what comes around goes around, and yeah, so
For sure. Well, you've got two of the biggest cheerleaders in the VO industry right here. AB is constantly lifting me up, lifting others in in the community up. Like she does so much. And I know you and I, we're always cheering each other on. And I agree. It is so important. We need more positivity just as human beings. We just need
Right.
more love, more positivity in the world. So I love that. Okay, so let's keep going. So being in the industry as long as you have, you've seen some ebbs and flows. And I think it's important to note that this industry has ebbs and flows. So if you think you're just going to ride that wave, you're mistaken. So kind of tell us like what you've seen over the years.
You know, I think so. I will pay attention to, just like my business is very word of mouth. Yes, I have other resources and stuff. I know that I'm going to hear about things if it's big enough to hear about. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
AI, hello, like there's just, it's overtaking. But here's the thing, at some point, I need to like pay attention, but not have it just be noise in my life, because it can
Yes,
be, if you're paying attention to everything and researching everything and not just taking it with a grain of salt, it's going to just take over everything. And
that's so true.
yes, I'm using the word everything on purpose, because it's true. There's a lot of things that I want to do, but I have to say, okay, am I going to research that, or is that going to like, am I going to like dive into watching TV commercials all day so I know what's up, or am I just going to kind of do it like when it catches my attention? So there's a real battle of overthinking, you know,
Mm.
um, and I try to not let myself go there, because if you there's a balance of educating yourself. And I mean, I've done thousands of hours now probably with voicing jobs, but also training, like being trained by people, by experts, by people that I respect and trust. And um so I feel like from that, you kind of like learn what's out there. People are like, say like, hey, watch this commercial, or listen to how this person's conversational thing, or listen
Yeah,
to how their announcery. So my answer with that is like, I pay attention, but I also don't, because it's like at the end of the day, you're bringing yourself and you're bringing your own thumbprint. And if you're thinking too much, like, oh, I got to stay in this cookie cutter thing because this is what people are doing. Like sometimes, I mean, I'll do a read. Um, if I won't even look at the specs for a sec. Like I'll see what feels natural. And then before I submit, I'll make sure I'm going to go back, make sure I'm respecting what the specs are, because they've worked so hard on,
that's right.
we're close to the copy. The last
They
thing
have
I
a
want to,
vision. Yeah,
yeah, the last thing I want to do is disrespect their team and go, oh, I think I know better. That's not
yeah,
it. But what it is like making sure you respect what the client and the audience wants, but also putting your stamp on it and being like, hey, here's what I was naturally feeling. So that's, there's always going to be things changing in the industry, going from conversational to maybe it'll go back to announcery. I don't know. But it's like, pay attention, but also at the same time, be you, you know,
yep.
and don't pay attention so closely where you lose yourself.
Well, and I think this is leads right into what AB was going to talk about. It's something that it's sort of a little it's sort of on the DL, a little bit like not talked about a lot, but um you mentioned, the overwhelm and the noise, and it can lead to not only going down rabbit holes of social media and doing all these other things, but this like neurodivergent brain and not feeling the overwhelm or not, and comparing yourself. And how, I'm going to let AB take this, but I'm going to give the lead in, like, are you super regimented? Yeah, like, AB, just tell her you got your cute new board.
Well, as somebody with ADHD, like, and not just a little bit, like a
Can
lot
you
of
turn yourself
ADHD.
up a little bit?
Yeah, I forgot I was doing a singing thing, and
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, you sing too. Anyway, we'll get back
yeah.
to that. All
So
right.
I had to turn my gain down because I was singing too loud. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So
Awesome.
as somebody with ADHD who struggles, like keeping myself organized is probably my greatest struggle. Or I'll give you another example, just so if we're talking about dealing with the overwhelm. I don't know about you, but when I open up the specs for an audition, particularly from an agent, it's like how am I labeling this? What do I need to slate? Do I not slate? Am I slating at the top? Am I slating at the end? Do I need to do 2 takes or 3 takes? And are there specifics on how they want those takes to be? It's so much information. It just starts to feel like a word dump on the page, and I start to stress. And so there's a lot of things that people who deal with overwhelm really quickly, like I see all the words and they just blur. And like I just got an email from an agent and she's like, oh, you forgot to slate on this one and you slated on this one. And I'm like,
Yeah.
curse you,
Yeah.
brain. So do you have any advice? And I'll get to my other question in a minute, but do you have any advice specifically for dealing with that kind of overwhelm, whether it's with keeping track of all of our tasks or whether it's opening an audition and being like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So my executive assistant days really comes into play with email and the specs that you get from agents and stuff, because that's the first thing I'll do too. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm respecting their boundaries, meaning like naming the file correctly, because what a nightmare. I don't want to waste their time, with naming it wrong or having a hyphen out or whatever. And we all do our best. Sometimes we're not gonna hit the mark. It doesn't mean we suck. It just means like, yeah, we're not perfect, right? We got to have grace for ourselves. So, for me, I will zero in like what you did. Okay, here's what I name it. I'll go ahead. I work from Pro Tools because my husband's a music producer. So we have like I know everyone doesn't work through Pro Tools, but I love it actually. And he's made me learn how to edit and everything. But I will make sure I have the file name first. I'll put it in there. And then I will make sure, like, if most times it says no slating, so I'll just grab those things. I actually too, because I love music so much, I glance at the script and I just get like a feeling of what kind of song in the background I want to have while I'm voicing it. I pretty much do that every day. I don't do that like probably 80% of the time now. I will do that. And I know that's kind of making a choice. But it helps calm me. It makes me more connected to the script because I'm a singer, and it takes away the thinking too. And it makes me kind of fall in love with the words, even if it's technical stuff, So in that case, it takes the overwhelm down, and then how like when you look at like a 3D picture where maybe you're not looking at all of it, those ones where you like look at it and then it just like comes out at you. So I kind of do that with all those specs, because what's happened is, and I know in the corporate world, because I've been part of it, you get together for 6 months and this thing's your baby. And this might be your 75th time that you went over the script or whatever. So this is their baby and I don't want to mess up their baby. I want to take care of their baby. So it's like, I don't want to ignore the 100 words of like the description of like, be conversational, be bright, be energetic, but what I do is I look at the very first very first 3 words that it says. So if it says like conversational first, my most important thing is going to be like, okay, they wanted that up front and center. I'm going to maybe like, sit back in my chair, or if I need to be super conversational with it, or put a baseball cap on or something, because maybe the 100th word is bubbly. So I'm probably not going to pay attention to that, because conversation and bubbly, eh, So that's how I don't let myself get overwhelmed by all the crazy specs, but I also still respect it. I'm respecting all the work they put into it. But that's kind of like my flow and I try to do it fairly quickly, like when you're going to a place you've never been before and you see a menu and like there's a huge line behind you. It's like there's something that your gut it speaks to it. So like I try to like grab onto that so I don't overthink it, you know? So that's because it does get overwhelming. I mean, it's a lot to take in, and the best authentic conversations and the best relationships happen when you're just being you, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's what listeners need to hear. They need to hear like a real person, Um, and we all hone in on our skills and we all get better as actors and stuff. So yeah, sometimes we're going to sound polished, but it doesn't mean that we can't be real while being polished, you know?
I want to come back to something you brought up, and that was like choosing music. I love when they send me the music, right? When it has the music attached and you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I know now I know what feel they want for this." But
exactly.
you're saying, and I love this, that you'll choose music that you feel like goes with the audition and play it. Is that what you're saying? Like, "Oh, this definitely feels upbeat, so I'm going to go choose something from my playlist like that works."
Yeah, absolutely. So I have like a library of music that I'll put like makeup, chic, something that kind of has like a cool beat to it. I'll have like super over the top like Safeway shoppers thing. We all know that like Safeway shoppers, it's like da, da, da. It's like super cheesy, super like, but I'm gonna be so bright and cheery. So like something that gets me out of it's just one more layer that helps me deliver it in a way that is me, but it's still like bringing their product, you know. So yeah.
Is
And
that
if
something that you do with your students? Like have them choose some music when you're doing coaching?
I haven't yet, because I said, look, it's a very personal thing. Like if it doesn't feel right, you do not want music going because what you don't want is you don't want the music to lead you. You want it to be like a harmony, you know. Um so what I'll do is like I'll be like, oh, I feel like this, and then I'll kind of like go through the script like a couple sentences. Yeah, that's right. And then I'll go in there and do that. If I'm doing like a bunch of auditions all at once back to back and the music isn't one for that, I'm pretty good at ignoring it and not, because I harmonize with people so I can stay on my own thing. But if it's really not meant to be for that, I'll just take the headphones off, push it aside, and just, because there's definitely times that you want to do that too,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to take you back a little bit because in true ADHD fashion, I asked you two questions in one before. And so I said the overwhelm in when you're facing an audition, but what about that overwhelm that I think it does not matter whether you are neurodivergent, neurotypical, whatever you want to classify yourself as. We look at all the things that we have to do as a voice actor,
Mhm.
market, be on social media, be active on LinkedIn, make sure you're, reaching out to past clients, make sure you're communicating with your agents, make sure you're doing auditions, make sure you're working on your resume. How are your demos? What new demo do you need right now? Are you doing coaching? Are you coaching for that demo or are you coaching for this demo right now? And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
start to think, like, oh, what do I do next? So when people are feeling that, what's your advice to them?
yeah. So, I mean, that kind of stressed me out, just like, because dude, that is like, we all go through that, and that's not even to
Sometimes every
mention,
day.
yeah, but it's not even to mention the personal life, the balance, the things. So for me, there are so many hats to wear. And I will do a weekly, okay, because my husband, like he edits a lot of my stuff, but I also know how to edit myself and everything too. But we have to get together once a week, like where it's intentional and do our calendars. We do like a weekly calendar because it's like, okay, so you need the studio for producing this artist and I need it during this time. I have a live direct this time. Both of our boys do voiceover from time to time. They've gotten a good career that way, but as teenagers, it's harder to boy teenagers. But so there's just a lot going on. So yeah, how do you choose to balance it? Like I think having a written out, not just digital, but written out schedule.
Mm.
Um, Even if you don't go and look at it every day, knowing that you've done that and you've set yourself up for success for that week. Like, because if you don't, you could be like, oh, I was supposed to be there. I thought I was supposed to be there at that time. Whoops. Like it's in your digital, but having it on paper just makes it feel more real, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and then every day it's like, so then on that thing, I'll put like, these are my musts that I have to do this week. Like, no questions asked. I got to do this many auditions because I got to keep the filter. I got to keep the funnel going. That's
Yeah.
what's important. I look at doing auditions as like, I'll tell my students and stuff that it's very much like, think of auditions like weight training, and the job is the Olympics. You're not always going to be at the Olympics, but the weight training is super important. And the more you do it, the more you're going to find your groove, the more you're going to find the pocket. So like, if I know that if I don't think too far ahead with all the stuff that I have to do, that helps me. If I'm like, okay, today, what do I need to do today? Okay, I need to do this many auditions. And honestly, once I do my first priority one, I might feel bad that I didn't do other stuff, but I'm feeling pretty good because I'm like, okay, at least it's like putting oil in your car. You have to have that. So do you need to have the fancy cup holder? No, it's nice. There are things that will show off your car and, but so like, yeah, so like demos, like when to touch up your demos or when to do a new demo. And, so I just kind of like, I just make sure that the funnel, I'm doing my routine. I think routine is really important to an aspect. Like I'm pretty random though too. So it's not like I don't do like, 10 to 2 or da 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 da. But like routine as far as like, okay, I'm going to get this many auditions done today. It doesn't matter when I do it, but it's going to happen. So like holding yourself accountable, having others that can like encourage you that way. Yeah.
I like that. I like you said NJ and I like to talk a lot about taking, we set these big giant goals. We're like, don't set goals, like pick bite-sized tiny things that you can accomplish and focus on that. So you're saying, don't look at all the 300 things you have to do. Be like, what do I need to do today or
Yeah.
this week? My family does the same thing with 5 kids. If we don't calendar our week,
Yeah.
it won't happen, and I'm famous with my kids. They'll come to me and be like, I need to do this today. And I'm like, you didn't bring that up in family council. Like, I'm sorry. That is not on my schedule. I'll do what I can, but if it's not,
Yeah.
if you don't, we gotta know on Sunday night when we do our family council for the week. But
Right.
and
Right. And
NJ brought up my Post-its and my I write Post-its and put them everywhere. And last week, someone on the VO Booth Besties group suggested, I think it was Amy Stafford, now I can't remember, a whiteboard. And so I went and bought a whiteboard and I wrote for this week, what do I want to do this week? And I'm marking them off and it feels good.
Yay.
It feels
Yay.
good to physically mark those things off. So,
I might do that. So what I was going to say too, with you bringing that up, sometimes we're so looking at ourselves and thinking, what do I need to do? And me, right? And I hate, like, we have to, but I also hate that because I want to, like, it'd be so good if we thought about others, instead of just ourselves. But you have to take care of yourself. You got to like do things. But I think we can get so focused that we can't even see what other people might see. So like with Jen, if I'm like, hey, I think this is my priorities, but as my friend, like, what do you think? Like, to have those trusted, like with what you just said, I've been thinking about getting a board and like physically doing that too. So honestly, with you saying that, I'm probably going to go out and buy one today, So it's like, it's kind of
working.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like, you'll get an idea and then a friend or a colleague or someone will say something and it'd be like, okay, I'm supposed to do that,
Like I didn't realize I mentioned my Post-its and they were like, well, I have the Post-its too, but they've kind of just started to become background noise. Like my brain just sees a bunch of Post-its instead of tasks. And I thought, that's exactly what I'm doing. I see all my Post-its, but they're just always there. And I've stopped being as active and engaging with removing them and putting up new ones. And so the whiteboard was a new one for me. And little hack, I just bought a really cute picture frame and put cute paper behind it. And so it looks cute instead of like just a
Yeah.
locker whiteboard or like a college dorm one.
I want to see this. I want to see this board now. Is it they're like, no, it's got a
I'll
secret.
let NJ ask the next question and I'll go grab it and show it to you.
Oh, perfect. Well, I think this is a perfect segue because what I wanted to talk to you about are relationships. How important, and I'm not talking about just relationships that lead to a job or something, but how important are relationships, friendships? You use the word trust because I have been burned because this woman is an open book and I want to embrace everyone and bring everyone into my life. And then I'm like, you don't need to be in my life anymore. So when we're talking about relationships, friendships, trust in this industry, how important has that been for you? People you can lean on that, if you have questions or if you need, accountability gets a little too technical to me,
Right.
regimented
Yeah.
versus, but just what does that mean to you? How does that work for you?
Relationships are the cornerstone of life, I think.
Mhm.
In everything. Like it has to be. At least for me. Like I'm very old school. I'm very nostalgic. Like that's why I make caramels for friends and my clients and like stirring the copper pot. It's like to me that's relational as far as like and I make sure I'm in a great mood when I do that because it's like if I am in a bad mood, I'll feel bad sending this out like it's a task, you know? So
Yep.
I'm sure that I'm in a when it comes to people, um, I'm sure there's some clients that think I reach out to them, because I'm trying to get them to hire me again or like, but honestly, when I reach out, there's just I've gotten to work with so many amazing people and sometimes someone will just come up on my mind or on my heart and I'll just have like a nudge to just check in with them. It might have been a year or two, I don't know. And this is very much yeah, like some of my clients have become really good friends and I'm like, "Hey, I respect you as a professional, but I love that we can like talk about our favorite sports teams too or family or whatever, you know." Um so, relationships are very very foundational. They are the flower to the cake. They are or if you don't eat flour, they're the whatever
The
um
gluten-free flour. Well, but what
gluten-free.
about like taking it a step further, like
Yeah,
having friendships and trusted colleagues? That's what I'm going to say. Because not every relationship is a friendship, and colleagues aren't always the same as a friendship either. So,
right.
how important having folks in the VO industry that you can lean on, that you can reach out to,
Yeah.
how is that part of your journey?
Um, it's very important. And you're right, you can't trust everybody and not everyone's gonna be your tribe, and that's okay. Um, I definitely have people that I lean on and that I go, "Hey, am I losing it? Or am I thinking wrong? Or can you give me some tough love here?"
Mhm.
Um, I have coaches that have trained me, that I've trusted, like, "Hey, I trust because your track record." So that's been you know, what's the word that I'm trying to invaluable. But yeah, it is very important to have those people that whether it's a colleague that you trust or the colleague has turned into a great friend, but you're
Mhm.
both your colleagues and great friends. Um, that's gonna happen naturally or it's not. Um, so yeah, I feel like we always have something to learn and we always have something to learn from each other. I always tell my students, I don't want to ever arrive. I don't want to ever think that I know everything,
I like that.
that I'm like it because it's just why would I want to like it's not going to do me any good. It's going to just make me not a great person. But it's like because I feel like I've always treated like young kids and older adults sometimes people can dismiss young kids and older adults and I've always treated them like, hey, you're only 6 but I can learn something from you.
Mhm.
You're
Always be growing. Yeah.
you're 90 but oh my gosh, can I listen to your stories? Like you are like inspiring. So I feel like if we don't put each other in a box, and go, "Oh, well, I can only learn from you if this or that." Like, no, like we have a lot that we can learn from each other. So it's very essential to be real and have those relationships. with, in the industry for sure.
Yeah. One of the things, and actually AB has actually did a session at View Atlanta. My brain just turned off. When you're getting in a slump, and that's something we're seeing a lot of people in our DMs asking us. We also see just people posting about it on social media. When you've got students or colleagues who are like, I'm in a slump. It is rough right now. What can you offer? What do you offer to kind of pick them up off the floor in a heap? Oh, tears.
Honestly, I think it's a combination of grinding, of like, okay, I'm in a slump, so I'm not going to wait for things to come to me, and I'm not going to gripe about it. I'm going to do the work. So I'm going to do what I know to do, even if I don't feel like it, even if I'm feeling down. I'm going to listen to a happy song or whatever, and I'm going to get in there, or I'm going to look at pictures of people that I love that make it not about me, that I connect. I'm going to fill my funnel, and then take a break from thinking about how you're in a lull, and go on a hike, or go do something that gives you life back, that doesn't make you feel like you're failing, like you're drowning. Because it's really hard we all go through those things where we can feel like, I kind of feel depressed, or I'm sad, or I'm like, and we can just be so hard on ourselves. And I'm such a feeler. So like when the feels come out, it's like, man, can I just not feel for a second? But that's just part of who I am. But it also doesn't give me license to just feel bad for myself, and just to
stay under the rain cloud. That's what we say in our house. Like, you can be under the rain cloud for a minute, but then we gotta get back out in the sunshine.
And I think it's really important when you're in that place. I think it's important to share it with at least one person and be vulnerable, because if you just keep it to yourself, it's just going to be like a drop of poison. It's going to just, doesn't matter if it's just a drop, it's going to ruin all of it, So I think it's so important to just be like, hey, I'm kind of feeling down and I'm feeling weak right now. Like, is there any advice that you have for me? Or is there something that, or maybe you know what to do for yourself too. But like, if you don't, that's where too, like the relationally, if you have a trusted friend, that's a colleague too, because we know our own lingo, we can talk to each other differently, it really lifts you up, and it's like, oh, I'm not alone, because you're not.
I think one thing that's super important that in what you're discussing is how much we bring those emotions and feelings into the booth with us.
Yeah.
Right. And I know when I come out and I'm doing my auditions, and I'm like, I don't even care. Like there's times when you're like, I'm not even going to get this. Like, why even bother? When you start feeling, I'm like, gotta stop. Like, even if I don't get this audition in right now, like I gotta stop and step away and do something else, which is something that I've learned about myself. Like, I need to go be creative for a little while in another way. And this is something NJ and I talk a lot about. Like, I've got to go build something, or I've got to go bake something, or I've got to go serve someone. I need to get out of the booth for a little while. And sometimes that get out of the booth for a little while needs to be longer than a little while. And this summer has kind of been that for me. I was feeling kind of frustrated with things at the beginning of the summer, and I've just kind of stepped back. I haven't done a lot. I mean, this week is my jump back in point, but I haven't done a lot of marketing. I've focused on agent auditions, and that's it. Like, I wasn't really doing anything else. And I'm able to come back to the booth now, kind of having taken a break and focus on family for a while, reinvigorated, and sharing with, I have my besties that I can talk to, but I also have my husband. And um, we really do need that whole life approach to our business. It can't just be this stepping into the booth every day. There's so much more that impacts us.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because I mean, you can't, they say that 90%, is body language, communication, and people can't see us. So like we really have to work at it to get out the message. And the way that we work at it is by bringing ourselves to it and trying to leave the other crap behind. People people can tell. You can say I love you to someone, but your tone and the way you say it is going to mean all different kinds of things, right?
Right.
If like versus like I love you. I love you. It's like one's like just like I'm in your face and like you are so dear to me, and the other one's like, hey, we just worked out. I love it. Like so it does matter what we do outside of the booth, and that's why I tell like people too that want to get into, everyone and their brother wanted to get into this industry with COVID and everything, and I can see why it would be enticing. But what I tell people is like, look, I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to tell you the things that you want to hear. I will be honest with you and I'll tell you the things that I need to tell you. Because you have to have tough skin for this industry. You have to know how to pick yourself back up. You got to have other people help pick you back up and that support. But it's like, the worst thing I could do for you is hold your hand. Like, cause you need, I'll give you little tidbits, but you need to like do the homework and do the things for yourself, because if you can't help yourself, then
Yeah. So
say a
let's
lot of
come back to your coaching a little bit because you do coach, and I'm curious because I don't actually know. I know NJ does, but I don't know. What kind of coaching? Are you a performance coach? Are you a career coach? Are you like a hybrid coach? What are you?
Yeah. So I really want to focus on, and I've thought long and hard about this. I want to focus on commercial copy and corporate. And that corporate means e-learning, corporate narration, industrial, all that good stuff. And entrepreneurship. So yeah, so I've thought about like writing out a course and different things and like, okay, but the reason I don't is because I feel like every person is so different from each other. So what I tell my students, if someone says, "Hey, I want you to be my coach," and we're a good fit, it's like, okay, this is your time. So if you want to just talk business and flush things out, maybe this past week, bless you, maybe this past week you have stuff that you need to get out, and some of it is personal, some not. But that will translate into your success as a voice actor. Like you don't need to tell me anything personal if you don't want to, but if you're like, oh my gosh, my car broke down, this, like get it all out and it will pertain to business. So there's a lot of things that I will share with people about entrepreneurship. I feel like I have the blood of an entrepreneur, like through and through. My mom was an entrepreneur, her dad, like I love it because it's like you're writing your own schedule. You're meeting really cool people. Sometimes you meet challenging people, but it's like, you got to like figure it out and what's your marketing, like I make my caramels and stuff. Yeah. So I lost track of where I was going with
Well,
that, but
Samuel Martinez says in the comment, shout out to her caramels. I want to say
aw,
caramels. They are seriously tasty, and they are. I have had one. They are
hi,
tasty.
Sam. Yeah. Um, I don't know if I answered the question.
Well,
I
you were
think you
talking
did.
about hybrid versus just
Oh,
performance, how
yes.
your
Okay.
coaching goes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I go off in tangents a little bit, but corporate narration. So I want to teach on the things I book basically every genre except for animation and audiobooks. I would do an audiobook if it wasn't like too long, but I know that my voice is not the kind of voice that will last all day. So I have to like protect myself and protect my clients from not taking on audiobooks if that's not what my focus is going to be. So, but even though I voice a lot of different genres, like I do a lot of political stuff, I do a lot of video game um, narration, and characters and different things. But I want to, I feel like I can absolutely bring something to the table with just focusing on commercial copy and corporate because that is like what I book every single day, you know. And it's like, if I can share my tidbits, I might not have like a defined definition of, oh, do this and this and that, and then you'll do this. It's like, no, we all know that you can have the same chocolate chip cookie recipe, right? 10 people can make it. It all turns out different. It
I
just
like
does.
that.
So with my coaching, there's a lot of great coaches out there. We all know that, and then there's some that shouldn't be coaching, sure. But for me, it's like, before I was like, hey, I'm going to open up my schedule to take on, some more people and like have this be a little more of a focus. I really want to make sure that when people come to me, that I'm seeing them, and that it's not me putting my stuff on them, but it's like, hey, what do you want from this? Do you want to dive into commercial? We can just do copy after copy. Sometimes I'll have them listen to a TV commercial, write it down that they're excited about, or I'll bring stuff to it. But it's like, don't want it to be cookie cutter. I want a person. We live in a day and age where everything's digital. Everybody's like high and by, even at the conferences, we all love each other, but it's like, it, it is like, if you don't take a picture, it's like, it just goes by so quickly, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, I want the person to feel seen. I want them to feel valued. And I know that with that kind of belief from a coach or a mentor, they're going to go further. And as long as they're honest with me, I can help, you know, massage their career or whatever. Yeah.
I love that because we sometimes tend to think of coaching as I'm reading copy and you're giving feedback, right? And that is very important, right? Everybody needs that. But I will say that some of my most influential coaching sessions have been where I didn't read any copy.
Mhm.
I met with Paul Strickwerda, gosh, a couple of years ago. It's been a long time ago. I don't think coach anymore at all, but um and it was to evaluate whether we were a good fit for coaching. And we
Mhm.
had this great conversation, and it was 2 hours. We talked for 2 hours, and I was like, "You're my voiceover therapist now." And the things that he told me and that we talked about helped me see where I was on certain things. And
Yeah.
he, at the end of the conversation, he's like, "You don't need my coaching. Like, I don't think that we're a fit. You don't need it. Like, you just need to do the things you already know. Like, get out there
Yeah.
and do the thing." And I was like, "Oh." And it wasn't until that point that I realized that I was caught in a coaching kind of a rut. Like, I was doing the coaching nonstop. I was in that spend
Yeah.
cycle where
Mhm.
you just coach, 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 and you don't actually jump off and do the thing.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there has to be a variety and a lot of conversation. So when you're coaching someone, talk about that process and transition from I'm coaching with Michelle to I'm ready to make a demo. Is there a clear-cut path to success to being ready to make a demo, or is it different for every person?
Yeah, and it's interesting because not every coach is also a demo producer. So I and I'm not the one that produces it. My husband is amazing. He's worked with all kinds of celebrities, and I mean, he's very talented at what he does. And then of course Melissa Disney and Ryan. Um, so for me, I make it very clear to, if someone's going to work with me, I'll be like, hey, up front, we also produce demos, but I want you to know, just in the same way that you chose me as your coach, you don't, there are other coaches out there. And if at any time you're not feeling it, like, I just need you to be honest with me. Like, this, I might just be a catapult or a lily pad to go to your next thing. But I definitely let people know that I believe that we can produce a great demo for you, because it's going to be catered to you. It's going to be the brands that you love, the things that you're excited about. But in no way, shape, or form do I say, hey, yeah, like, you're going to coach with me and then we're going to do a demo, right? I will say, hey, you're going to coach. Let's coach and do this. I feel like I kind of have a magic number. Like, I feel like 12 coaching sessions is the least amount of time that I want to work with someone before they do a demo, if they're new to it. And that's not it's not necessarily, it's my kind of magic number that I have in my mind. It doesn't mean that it could be maybe 24 or 30 sessions, or whatever. But I feel like I'll be honest with someone and say like, hey, like the first session will be kind of getting to know each other, and going through some scripts and some copy. But just because I don't have a cookie cutter way of doing something, I'll say, hey, you let me know what you want to work on today, or let me know a week in advance. I'll bring some copy to it. Um, I think it's good to always talk business too, even for 5 minutes. Like, hey, I'm like, do you want this to be a script heavy session? Are you, in fact, when it does lead up, if someone is on the path of doing their demo with us, so say like session 10 or 11, and I feel like, yeah, they're ready. Like, let's use the next session to be script heavy and just like boom, 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 um, do it and go so that they feel like super prepared for the demo, and confident. But if it gets to it, I mean, I'll be honest, I'll be like, don't do the demo yet. And I'll say, hey, there's this other demo producer, there's this. I really feel like, how like love is letting go. That's how I feel with maybe everything I do in life. It's like if I hold on to it too tight, like this is my student for now, but I want to give them the freedom because I care about them and I want them to, I'm not going to be jealous or envious of them going to this person or that person. It's like, no, like if I'm opening up my schedule to coach people, it's because I care. It's because I want to open up my life to not just have it be about me, you know? I get kind of sick about the me thing. Um, but it's also tricky because like I said, we have to take care of ourselves. And so you have to think about yourself. Are you working out? Are you hydrating enough? Are you sleeping enough? But man, if we just like found a way to like really up the care factor for each other, how much better would this world be? So that's kind of how I just look at coaching and opening up my schedule more to take on more people. And I don't know exactly what it will look like. I don't know what my capacity will be where I'll cut it off because it's really important to me to have the balance and um our income is the VO world and it's been really, really good to us. We feel very, very blessed. I don't want to take that for granted or advantage of that. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of the process. I'll look at each person, and
Yeah.
kind of have them collab.
Everybody's path is different.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Tim Powers said, it's not art. Oh, sorry. He said, it's an art, not a science. And I like that analogy in this because art looks different for every person, right? And modern art versus impressionism versus really detailed art it's just gonna be different. So we did a demo producer video with you and the demo dream team. So anybody watching this, go check that out where they really go into detail about their process and how to work with them and what that looks like. And it's highly recommend. But Michelle, where can people find you if they want to coach with you or if they're interested in finding out more about making a demo?
Yeah. So, and I'll say this again too. I think I said it at a conference. If anyone wants my caramels, I just send me an email, michelle@michellesundhome.com, and I will literally put you on the list. Give me your address. Means you guys too, People are like, ah. But because I love, sharing the love. But yeah, michelle@michellesundhome.com for email. My website is www.michellesundhome.com. I've kind of left it. I don't have a separate website for coaching, a separate website for demo production. So you'll see it on there. There's a coaching section. There's a demo production section. So that's the best way to contact me. Absolutely free consultation. If you're feeling drawn to me, like, I want to see what it's like to have Michelle be my coach or whatever, but you're not sure. like, let's set up a Zoom and that'll be absolutely free, you know, because like I said, I mean, there's a lot of amazing people out there. Many are my friends and same with demo production. It's like at the end of the day, you know, it's personal. It's got to be what you feel.
Connection.
Yeah, and there's so much that can happen too without going through copy. That's why I allow my students to be like, "Hey, we don't even have to touch copy today. There's so much that goes into this business that maybe let's talk about your marketing or like how are you feeling about this? What makes you tick that way?" And because if you leave a session and you feel alive, dude, that's going to do so much for your business. So much for
Mhm.
your business. I do want to say this. You guys are such an inspiration. Like with what you guys do. I mean, you gals are amazing. This is why I'm on here too, like because I trust your vision. I trust what you do. Have mad respect for each of you. Um, and I just want to say to everybody, I'm like, these guys are for real. And I say guys all the time, but gals, whatever. But you know, I see you as very selfless, as very generous and giving, real encouragers and cheerleaders. And you know, the world just needs more people, more groups like this, honestly.
More
So
besties.
more besties.
More
So thank you for um creating a platform where people can just hang out and be real and like share life and cheer each other on, you know?
Well, thank you for hanging out with us on said platform. It's
Yeah,
just fun.
for
And I'll show you
sure.
this is my picture frame to-do list.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like a $10 picture frame from Walmart, but it's gold and it looks really cute up against my
Aw,
studio bricks. And I just put command strips on the back and you
I
can
love
write
it.
right
Yeah.
on
So,
the,
so, so do you do like a daily? Does it say daily and then you can just like
it's
erase it?
weekly. So I do it at the beginning of
Okay.
the week. I set goals and some of them are specific, like it's a do once, and some of them are like, all agent auditions is on there, which I don't know why I even bothered to write that. I think I was just like, oh, what are my goals? I always do all my
Well, and
agent
it feels
auditions, but
that one you get to mark
yeah,
off. And so you're like,
Like,
yes,
yeah,
you're like, breathe. Okay, I did that.
yeah,
yes, check.
check. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I'm crushing it.
Everyone put breathe as their number one goal for the week.
Exactly. And
I
and
love
I
it.
have like a to-do list in the house, right? Of all the things for the family. You know, I keep those two to-do lists separate. And it's because I have to be either if I'm in the house, I'm in house mode. If I'm in the studio, I'm in work mode. And I have to keep those two separate.
Amen to
Pretending
that.
like my
That's
my 7-year-old didn't draw these little balloon hearts on here for me.
No.
Very
that's
separate.
cute.
Well,
Anyway,
Michelle, we
thank
have
you.
made it an hour, if you can believe it. We were like, let's
Wow.
shoot the breeze, but no, we like got it done today. Mark it off your list. We were breathing and you're
You
never
were
living that
you
down.
were drinking water.
Yes, we were staying
Oh, that's a good
hydrated.
idea.
No, Michelle, just thank you so much. You are a gift, just as a human being, but also as part of this voiceover industry. We appreciate you so much. I hope our listeners, our people who joined us in live today, please, pop over to LinkedIn, connect with any of us if you haven't already. Michelle Sundholm, check her out for coaching, clearly for inspiration. She's phenomenal. And also for demo production. So anyway, we're going to call it. We're going to call it. That's it. We're just going to
Yep.
call this
I call
over.
it.
We're calling it. Anyway, thanks again, Michelle. Thanks for everyone who joined us today. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.